using terms like national security and government to make the people think that they can hoard all this information and this truth and this knowledge and this wisdom that they ought to be sharing with every living soul in this domain, and they're not. And they're just using weapons, and they're paying people to carry those weapons for them and hold other people, living souls, at bay. And it's just, it's criminal.
Well, I'm just wondering if some of the stuff it's on the market that we eat, the 5G, all that stuff, well, I got a funny feeling it could be used to control the population down the road, especially as they refine the 5G and maybe eventually go to 6G and 7G. But what I'm really concerned about, too, even our food that we eat, I mean, it's not healthy. And, for a while, our life expectancy was getting longer, and now it's going back the other way. And is this being controlled? The same way you go into the doctors, right? And there's a lot of doctors speaking up against flu shots. And then there's a lot of talk that the flu shots they give you don't really do anything because they're not compounded for what the current flu is anyway. So, and then you go in and you get shots like I got my flu shot the first time here recently. I was dead against it, but the doctor talked me into it. I get sick a couple times a year, but I'm over it within a couple days. I went home the next day. I thought I was dying with the flu. Well, 2 days later, it was gone. But then I got a shot for a pneumonia shot, which I didn't even know existed. And you know what? I still have a lump the size of a 50-cent piece in my upper arm on my right side from where they give me the shot. And that's been like a month and a half ago. It hasn't gone away. I'm just wondering if all this stuff, why are they giving it to us? Is it to maybe shorten our lives now at this point? Or is it to really, again, like the flu shots? I don't know how you feel about it, Michael, but every doctor has been on the radio talking against it, says the flu shot really isn't going to do anything for you.
Well, yeah, and I don't know that it's going to do much for you to protect you against the flu, but I do know I've seen research that says that the things that they put in it for, thimeroside and all those kind of things, the mercury potential of those things are there to break down your system for sure. And it's maybe not necessarily the short term, but the long term effects of having these things over and over every year. And now they're even talking about giving them to infants, and everyone every year. So I think there's definitely an agenda in there in the long run. I mean, basically, here's my feeling. They want us to live as long as possible, they want us to
do they really
all
want
of
to,
our resources.
Michael, do they really want us to live long as possible? Do they?
Well, And this is what I mean by that. They want us not to die young. Let's put it that way. They want us to live a normal 80, 90-year lifespan because they realize we're going to generate income and taxes for a period of time, and they need to count on that stream of income for a period of time. Then they want, when you pass away, they want you not to be able to pass anything on to your heirs. They want you to have to spend it all on trying to maintain your health in the very last part of your lifetime. That's what I'm
Yeah.
Well, why is it now?
And then they rape your resources.
Yeah, but again, too, they're pushing up Social Security to older and older. Pretty soon you're not going to be able to retire till you hit 67 or 68 or 69. How much longer are you going to live at 67 or 68 or 69 to get even what you put in back out? I think everything is geared up, okay, to actually fleece us.
You know what, Gary? You just brought up a good solution. I think everybody should just retire right now because all we're doing is feeding a corrupt system that's poisoning us. We're working for these sociopath maniacs, paying for them to use the tax money to wage their wars and create poisons and technology to destroy us and our habitat. Let's just quit. Honestly, if we all just turn our backs on these psychos, they won't have any more control. But it's going to take the police and the military to also get on board with all the rest of us living souls and say, yeah, you know what, we're right. You're right. we are supporting some maniacs across the earth that call themselves the powers that be and the governments. Let's just quit.
You can't.
What can they do? Possession is 9/10 of the law. If they don't have the police and the military backing them up, they can't just come around and kick us out of our homes and take our food.
Guess what? They can find a way to kick you out of your home. They can also give you a free camping trip to a FEMA camp, which is built all over this country and not being used. And, I still remember back on one of the shows where the ex-governor, Ventura, had photographs and videotape of thousands of coffins. Why would FEMA have thousands of plastic coffins? I don't understand that. Why do they keep building FEMA camps and all this stuff? Then you go on the media and you keep hearing rumors of Walmart stores closing up, and that's going to be another FEMA area. I don't know. I think, honestly, they would like people to die right around in their 60s, because then they don't have to, give you welfare. That's what Social Security is turning into, isn't it? Welfare. Even if you paid into it all your life and your employer paid into it, it's turning into welfare. And they're changing even how Social Security is going to be worded. And so it sounds like in the near future, hey, I'm getting welfare. And it's beneficial to them, right? You pay into it to your 60s. Hey, they don't care if you live after that. Then if you die, it saves them money because then they don't have to pay it out. How do you feel about that one, Michael?
Well, there's one thing that you got to keep in mind, though, is that if you die when you're 60, you're going to have a pretty good estate. You're going to have stuff saved up. You're going to have your working years is going to be, putting aside a little bit here, a little bit there for
You're wrong. You're wrong.
So they need to attack that.
You're wrong.
You retire. That's one of the big issues.
You're wrong, because a lot of the young people in our young generation don't have homes because they can't afford to buy homes anymore. They don't make enough money to buy a home. How can you go out and buy a home at minimum wage or $1 or $2 above that? You can't go buy jack squat. I don't even know how people can even live in an apartment anymore unless they take in, roommates. It's getting bad. The job, there's a lot of jobs out there, but you know what, guys? It's minimum wage out there in the service field. You're at the age, Michael. I'm at the age. Ronald's not quite there yet. But you know what? We acquired some wealth, a little bit of something, correct? But these young people, I see it. I have 8 kids, and they're young. My oldest is 40 years old. But you know what? They don't own much of anything like I did or you do, because they don't get they can't afford it with what they make.
Yeah, and don't you know,
we've systematically been sent to poverty.
That's what it seems like to me.
And they've
Go ahead, Michael. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No problem. They've done the algorithms on that. Indeed, the baby boomer generation was the last moneymaker generation that they could count on. And we're now getting older and retiring and, becoming a burden on society. But
you're
the young
a liability.
People, they're not even going to be having that ability to earn, a living wage. And so I know that they've probably done the calculations going, hey, we only have so long here before we need to do something drastic, because the population is getting out of hand, and no one is being able to earn the money that we really need to survive as far as the powers that be.
Well, put it this way. Look how far this country is in debt. You think it's going to turn around? The way it's going right now, we're going down the hole. And you know what? It doesn't even do any good to even try to chase them down the hole. It's just going there. And that's what I'm scared. I see it with and I only can go by my family, okay? That they go out, even get a management job, working in a grocery store or a department store. You know what they're making? They don't make enough money to buy anything. They just survive. So you know what? Now some of them have college educations, and they're making under $15, $20 an hour. You can't survive. You really can't. You can't go out and buy a house, a new car, and buy food on the table. And, it's not like where I was younger. I could go out and buy an RV diesel. I could buy a nice house. I could go buy a boat. I could buy all this stuff because I acquired wealth. The young people aren't doing that. So you know what? They're going to become a liability because when you get 60 years old, then you start having health issues, right? So now you got to go to the doctor. You got all the insurance companies don't want to touch you. And then you got Medicare, which, they're trying to figure a way how to even screw you out of that. So, I mean, it's getting scary. And that's what I'm really scared about. When you're older, oh, you need the special flu shot. And you ask the doctor, what is it? Oh, it is stronger. And you sit there and wonder, why? What does it? You hit it on, Michael. Maybe you go in and get your flu shot today. It doesn't do anything for you. You go in there next year and you get your flu shot. 10 years later, you find yourself where you can barely walk. You got cancer. You got whatever. And then you die.
It's horrible. Do the opposite of what they're telling you to do. That's kind of my best advice. Don't eat what they tell you to eat. Don't take the shots they tell you to take. Don't do the jobs they want you to do. Look, once 5G goes into place, that's our deadline. That is our deadline. We're going to be living then in a fog that will be controlled by artificial intelligence, and we will be then beyond the point of no return. And that combined with the smart meters, we're finished. Our ecosystem and our society is done for. And that's basically what is upsetting me is we have a deadline that's fast approaching. 5G has been being, really forcefully put into place, and it's being sold with a marketing campaign that's going to make everybody a happier camper on the internet because they're going to have faster search speeds on their computers and their smartphones are going to work better. But what is it really that they're allowing us to let them build a prison of radio frequencies driven by artificial intelligence that we will have no control over, and it will affect us at the cellular level.
Oh, yeah. They're already saying that people that use cell phones all the time have a higher risk of cancer. So, I mean, you're going to be, being a radio man all my life and an amateur radio operator at one point, and then working on transmitters for radio stations that put out a lot of RF, and then you live next to, say, you have a farm, and on your farm, the power company runs these huge power lines, it's putting out massive energy and RF and all that stuff. And then people, are not healthy, live around it. So, what I am worried about when this all goes into effect, we could be held hostage, not now, maybe 5 or 10 years down the road.
Well, to a certain extent, we're being held hostage right now. I mean, at a certain level, but it's going to get even worse. And 5 years down the road, when we're fully immersed in, this radio frequency radiation and 5G and artificial intelligence, I think they'll be able to turn people on and off. They'll be able to shut your house off. They'll be able to stop your car. They'll be able to turn off your phone, and you won't be able to negotiate. You won't be able to pull yourself out of their jurisdiction.
Well, how
period.
About,
Michael, from a legal standpoint, we're being placed under slavery of the jurisdiction of the state without any way to negotiate, or get out of that. It's crazy. It's a prison that we're going to have all around us all the time.
Yeah. Matter of fact, correct me if I'm wrong here on this, Ronald, but I understand that they are pushing for the idea of getting 5G blanketing the entire country, even rural areas, what you used to go to if you wanted to get away from the city and get away from electronic interference and light pollution. I understand this 5G is going to cover everything.
Everywhere, because in order for the frequencies to get let's say you're communicating cross country. Like I was saying with that, what I was going with those details, these low frequency, the millimeter waves don't travel well through buildings and trees and plants. So they're going to be placing antennas every few feet all across the earth. And it's going to be a complete blanket all over the earth, making for a radio frequency fog, radio frequency radiation, RFR fog that we're going to be immersed in. And we won't see it, we won't feel it, but we'll experience all of the different effects from it, and we'll fall under that fogged prison that I think is going to emerge out of that.
Well, how about